Gary was sold. On this night, he found himself dining at Gibson's in Chicago with his two new best friends. Chris and John had been fawning over him all evening. Heck, they just flown him in first class from Tulsa just for this dinner. Gary, we love your business and we want to do this deal. Now keep in mind, at Cedar Fork Capital, we're hands-on, but we'll help you with strategy. And we're growth-oriented, but we're always founder-friendly. Think about it. The chips you're going to be able to take off the table today are going to be massive. But that second bite of the apple a few years from now is going to be huge. Chris nodded in approval and joined in. Gary, I've been doing this for a long time. And I just know a good partnership when I feel it, and this just feels right. And did it ever feel right to Gary? As John reached over to grab the check, he noticed Gary eyeing his watch. Hey Gary, you like that? Here, try it on. As Gary felt the weight of the solid gold Rolex Daytona on his wrist, Chris chimed in. Wow, Gary, that looks great on you. Judy would love it. You know, it takes most people 3 or 4 years on a wait list to get one of those. But you being a Cedar Fork man, we can get you sorted pronto. You'd be one of us, Gary. And it was in that moment when Gary realized he had finally joined the club. Real executives were recognizing him for his abilities and his life's work. As Gary reveled in the moment, John stood up. Hey Gary, time to go. Courtside tickets for the Bulls. And with that, the whirlwind relationship was consummated. Within 60 days of that dinner, Gary received a wire transfer for more cash than he had ever seen in his entire life. Gary now owned 30% of a platform company in partnership with private equity. And a journey that began with excitement and anticipation soon gave way to a very different reality. By month 6, Gary was struggling. Sure, he was still in contact with his new friends John and Chris, but instead of smiles and adoration, they questioned his every decision. The Cedar Fork guys did keep their promises. However, they were slightly different than how Gary understood them. When they said they had a hands-on management style, what that actually meant was they would micromanage the living shit out of Gary and his team. When they said they would help with strategy, what they actually meant is Gary could barely take a dump without their permission. When they said they were growth-oriented investors, what that actually meant was every month they would deliver Gary and his team a seemingly impossible set of KPI targets to hit.
Should be interesting.
And the Cedar Fork guys talked a big game about being founder-friendly, but at the most recent portfolio company meeting, Gary was hard-pressed to find one single portfolio company that was still managed by its founder. As for the watch, they did keep their promise there. Gary took it home from the closing dinner. But he soon stopped wearing it after both his brother-in-law and his nephew asked him for a loan. Oh, and they were right about him being in the club. As a Cedar Fork man, it was his responsibility to go out and court potential sellers. But instead of stakes at Gibson's and courtside at the Bulls, it was P.F. Chang's and 9 long innings of the Tulsa Drillers.
And the umpire's like, you're out.
But it was words of his wife Judy that cut Gary the hardest. She said, I've watched you bust your ass for 30 years.
So you'd never have to work a job for people you don't believe in. Yet here you are.
Hi, I'm Paul Giannamore. I'm an investment banker and I negotiate for a living. Today we're going to talk about how to look past the pitch decks, the steak dinners, and look into really how private equity works in order for you to make the best decisions in choosing a potential partner. For many of you, partnering with private equity could be the best financial decision you'll ever make. I know scores of people who are hundreds of millions of dollars richer because they did this the right way. If done correctly, private equity can provide you a lot of things you don't have. For example, the access to capital that you don't have today. Marketing, advertising capabilities, board governance. How many of you actually have a proper board in place? Many of you don't. The ability to hobnob with other portfolio companies and learn from CEOs. You're part of the club, so to speak. There's a tremendous amount of things that private equity can bring to your business, helping you do add-on acquisitions, helping you consolidate an industry, as well as at the very end of the line, when it's time to sell your business, it'll be done without emotion, right? These private equity guys spend their entire lives buying, building, and selling businesses. And so when they ultimately go to sell, they're going to do it the right way. They're going to run a competitive process. They're going to take the highest offer on the best terms, no emotions involved, no concern for the culture, no concern for the legacy, so on and so forth. And I know that scares some folks, but at the end of the day, that's what these guys do. And it's an opportunity to really create substantial wealth for yourself. But if you do it the wrong way and you choose the wrong partner, you'll potentially find yourself in the same position that Gary did, an unmitigated disaster. This is what we're going to talk about today.